Welcome again. Part three. Tonight is the final part of time management. The first section, if you didn't see it, the first one that I did was on just the importance of time and that our patients are our priority and that we need to make sure we find time in our schedules to focus on systems and customer service. The second part was on productive schedule because in a dental office, we know the schedule runs us. But now tonight, what I'm going to talk about is actually time management on a personal level. For you, if you're the doctor, if you're the office manager, if you're the dental assistant, it doesn't matter. We as humans can get better at managing our own time and trying to figure out where it all goes. Because the one thing we can all agree on that the rarest commodity we have in the dental office is time. It doesn't matter if you're in Boston, Florida, San Diego, or Washington State. We go in the morning with this intention to get all of these things done. And by 3 o'clock, we've barely ate lunch or gone to the bathroom. So what happens to the day, right? We already talked about the schedule running us. And if you didn't watch last week's session, I recommend going back because I'm a huge advocate of building a productive schedule that you're proactively running, not reactively letting it run you. But then also let's talk about the other part of management in the office, time management in the office, because there's so many statistics that show that we waste so much time in business. These are more business statistics, not dental statistics. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with all of these for a dental office because like the second one there, it says the average product worker spends 2 hours and 53 minutes an 8-hour day in meetings. I wouldn't say that's necessarily true for dental, but we do tend to waste a lot of time in the day in side conversations and standing around the kitchen, gossiping about stuff or wasting time talking to the wrong people. So there are a lot of time that's wasted in the dental office. But that being said, these statistics really didn't read to dental office statistics for me. So I like to kind of start my presentation with the why or some information to help set the stage. And so I went and tried to do some more research specifically for dental. And all I could find when it came to dental offices were these two metrics or statistics from workforce dental staffing that just talks about us, if we got more efficient with our time, we would be more productive. So that makes sense. But when I'm looking for statistics, when I'm out there trying to find the information, I'm a huge fan of the latest and greatest technology. I think I mentioned it last week. I've got a group called Brush Up on AI. I'm all about AI. I'm talking about it tomorrow at Yankee. And so I was trying to find statistics to help show how much time we waste in a dental office to get more efficient, and I couldn't find any. And then I was trying to find a picture to represent what it's like to work at the front desk of a dental office. Because whenever you search dental office receptionist, you get pictures a lot like this one. And this is not realistic at a dental office. Like maybe that's how she looked when she walked in at 8 o'clock. But I don't know if you noticed the clock back there. It's like 12 o'clock and she's still smiling. She still has a happy face on her face. And for those of us who work in the front office, dental offices are not like that. So I went to ChatGPT and I said, okay, let's make a picture that represents what it's like to work at the front desk of a dental office. The toilet's overflowing, the phone's ringing, the hygienist wants to know if her patient's coming, the mom showed up with a baby and the babysitter canceled, so she has a baby on her hip. So I put in all the prompts to have it try to generate pictures. And I put receptionist stressed answering phone with baby on her hip and the other phone in the other hand and people waiting, just to see if I could represent what happens at the front desk. Now, I don't know what happened here. This is kind of a creepy picture, but AI isn't quite where it needs to be yet, but it's close. And so many times with AI, you just kind of start again. You give it the prompt, you say, give it another shot. And this is the second picture that came out. Sometimes I feel like that when I'm sitting at the front desk of the office. This is almost kind of nightmare material. So I gave it one more shot and was like, all right, this is the third picture that it came out with. So I'm starting this with just trying to realize that we are very unique working in dental offices, right? We have the schedule that runs us. We have all of the stress of the patients. We have all of the stress of the team. We have all of the things going on. And so getting control of ourselves and our time management is important. For those who might not have been here the last two times, I have been in dental for 20 plus years. I've been an office manager. I founded Front Office Rocks, which is an online training website for your teams. But I also have my bachelor's degree in human resources and my master's degree in organizational development. So I actually went to school and consulted and coached in the business world before I got into dental. So time management is a skill that you can learn, but many times or a lot of times it's not taught in any of the education that anybody's been in the dental office. Doctors in dental school, they did not teach you time management skills. Unless you're a member of ADOM, you probably haven't, as an office manager, learned time management skills unless you've read them on your own or gone and gotten your bachelor's in business. So time management is something we expect somebody to walk in and know how to manage their time well, but yet we don't stop to make sure that we educate our team on this subject. So that's really what I'm going to jump into tonight. And I like acronyms, like I've talked about every time we've done this. So my acronyms for tonight is FOCUS, Foundations of Dental Office Time Management, Organizing, Choosing the Right Tools, Understanding Interruptions, and Stress Management. So let's jump in. We talked about this already, so I'm not going to go in depth about this. And if you weren't here on the first two sessions, please feel free to go back and check those out. But I do want to talk about, again, the foundations of a dental office is very different than other businesses. And so when we look at how our business runs, where we spend our time, needs and our team's time should be focused on one of these 7 areas. And if we are wasting our time or doing things that aren't driving to the bottom line of one of these 7 areas, then we need to find ways to get rid of it, be more efficient, delegate it, do something, because our focus really needs to be on getting more new patients in the front door, giving our patients amazing excellence and customer service, case presentation, case acceptance, running a productive schedule, asking for referrals and reviews, making sure our patients walk out with their next position, making sure our patients show up for their hygiene appointments, and finding our patients when they disappear. That's really where we need to be focusing on our attention. And we have a backdoor problem in most of our practices in the United States. And the 2 reasons that I think we have a backdoor problem are our customer service and our systems are broken. We're not giving our patients amazing customer service, or we're not running our systems well. And again, I've reiterated this the last 3 weeks, but it's so foundational, because maybe if you've been along for all 3 weeks, you've gone back to your practice and you've seen where we're letting patients walk out the front door because they say they don't want to schedule the appointment. Or we're so busy that we're not answering the phones and letting the phones go to voicemail. So there's so many things that we are doing that, because we have so many things to do, getting control of our time to do the things that are important is vital for the practice to grow. And the 2 main things that we need to focus on are customer service and systems. And I believe there's only 3 types of customer service you can give your patients: awful, average, or amazing. You're here, so I can guarantee that your customer service is not awful, or at least I'm hoping you're not awful. But if you're average, it's just not okay anymore. So we really need to up our game and make sure we're offering amazing customer service. And the way we do that is to make sure that we have time to offer our patients amazing customer service. If we're always running on a treadmill and never getting a chance to jump off and take care of a patient, eventually our patients are going to get tired of being treated like a number and they're going to go somewhere else. So I really want to focus on, I talked about this last week, production is around production of things that we do in this instance. We're really talking about how do we organize our tasks and our priorities to make sure we're doing only the things that we should be doing in our positions, whatever your position is. So it always starts with why. Everything starts with why. Why is not about making money. Why, that's the result. The why is the purpose, belief, or cause that a reason your office exists. It's the reason that you are in the position you're in. It's the thing that gets you up in the morning. It's the thing that makes you fight the fight that we do every day in a dental office. And when we're really looking at where should we be spending our time and whether you're an assistant or an office manager or a hygienist or a dentist, it really should go back to what is your purpose? What is your why in the dental office? How do you fit into this equation? Because we have a lot of dental offices that are busy. Everyone's busy. We're all, running around. Everyone's doing their job. Everybody's doing things. They're all busy, but yet we're not effective in our the things that we're doing. We're not doing actions with intention behind them. So when we start to break down where are we spending our time, the next thing is this something we should even be doing? Is this something I should be doing as an office manager or somebody else on my team should be doing? Is this something that has an intention behind it? There's so many offices that I talk to where I'm like, why do you do this? And they're like, I don't know. And they look around. If we don't know why we're doing it, we should second guess it and maybe find a better way. Because ultimately, when everyone on the team is doing the things they should be doing and managing their times well, and they all know what the intention is, we're all going to go towards the same goal. Then we're going to have an effective team. And anyone on here who's front office or dentist with your front office team, ultimately, everything we do in the front office should have one goal in mind, and that is butts in the chair. Butts in the chair for me means if the patient's butt doesn't arrive in the chair, then we don't have their teeth, because their teeth come along with their butts. So I do everything I can in the front to make sure that my patients are arriving for their appointments so that we can help them keep their teeth for life, because that's ultimately what we are here for. We're here to help our patients live a longer life and keep their teeth for life. So the next thing we have to do is choose the tools and techniques to help us get more time in our days, to be more intentional with our time, to be more productive with our time. So time management is a business tool. It's a business terminology. There's systems out there, there's methods, there's ClickUp and Monday.com, and you can do project management and you can have processes. And again, a lot of this is business terms. If you're a dentist, they didn't teach any of this in dental school. For those that, are wondering, well, how do you know you didn't go to dental school? I was married to a dentist, and that's how I know. 4 years in dental school, they didn't teach any of this. Now, I'm no longer married to the dentist. 22 years later, I'm a recovering dental spouse. But I know that early in coming out of dental school, dentists don't know this. You have to go out and find business training or management training to help you in these areas. But ultimately, you can get all the business training you want. You can have all of the project management tools and tricks and books and atomic habits and all of the things. But at the end of the day, it's not just about managing your time. It's also about managing yourself. We have to have better self-management in order to have more time back in our day. And this is really where we lack, I think, in the dental industry, is that our teams and ourselves, office managers and dentists, are not trained in self-management. So what I mean by that is I run a mastermind, a small group coaching for ADOM. And I was just talking to an office manager yesterday on our coaching call, and she set a goal for herself that she's going to do 2 hours a day in her office and getting tasks done, things she has to do as an office manager. And so I started questioning her about, well, why isn't she getting those 2 hours a day? And we finally, after a couple of questions and discussions about it, came to the fact that every time somebody comes to the door and says, do you have a minute? She's saying yes. Every time they're saying, can I ask you a question? She's saying yes. When she shuts the door, they knock on the door, she opens the door, and they come in and sit down. So that's self-control, that's self-management. She's allowing them to interrupt her all day long, so she's not getting her jobs done, her tasks done. So again, you can have the best time management tool and understanding of it, but if you're not willing to manage yourself or understand that it takes self-management, you're not going to go very far. You're not going to get a lot of time back. So some of it is around what's important. Now, if you work in the front office, the one thing I used to just hang my hat on the fact that I was good at multitasking. I am so good at multitasking. I can do 8, 10 things at once. But the issue with multitasking is when I'm doing 8 or 10 things at once, I'm not giving anything 100% of my attention. I'm not giving anything all the attention that it needs. So I learned about this recently and thought it was important to put in here that priority, the word priority was in the English language and it was not pluralized until the 1900s. So it's actually supposed to be a priority, one word, one thing. But in the 1900s, we decided to add it and make it priorities. And so what happens is a lot of times when you have a lot of priorities, nothing is a priority. And I know office managers, if you're listening to this, I know we're guilty of it where everything's important. If I say to you, here's 20 things that you have to do, what's the most important? You're going to say they're all important. And if everything's important, nothing's important. So I challenge you as we go through these next few slides to really start to ask yourself, yes, everything has an importance to it, but what truly is the priority? Because it does take self-management to say, okay, this is the priority at this moment or at this time or today, and to really stay focused on it versus I'm going to try to take care of everything because then you're not really taking care of anything. So, like I said, we go in the morning and we're like, I'm going to rid the world of gum disease and cavities, and I'm going to be the best office manager, and I'm going to be the best scheduler. And then by 3 o'clock, you're like, I don't even know what happened to the day. So the first thing we have to do when we're looking at self-management, time management, is to figure out where are we spending our time. Again, you cannot fix what you're not aware of. So the first step is becoming aware. And we talked about this last time about time management for the dental practice, for the schedule. You cannot fix what you're not aware of. So not judging yourself, not saying, oh my gosh, I'm so slow at this, or I'm so bad at being interrupted, or I'm a people pleaser. No judgment, but get a piece of paper and for the next 2 weeks, keep track of all day long, or maybe even for a week, all day long, all the interruptions or all the things that you do throughout the day. So take a notepad and write from 8 to 9 or 8 to 8:30, 9 to 9:30, 10 to 10:30. Write down all the things that you do during the time frame. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get a realistic look at what you are doing all day long. Because when we look back at the end of the day, we're like, I'm exhausted, but I don't feel like I got anything done. So when we do this, we can look at the activities that we're doing and saying, okay, here's the things that I did. Now, what do I do with these? What can I do to give myself more time? Where am I wasting my time? Where am I spending time where somebody else can be doing it? But we can't do that if we don't first become aware of what's going on with our day. Okay. The second thing is then to figure out where should you be spending your time. In your position, if you're a dentist or you're an assistant or you're an office manager, where should you be spending your time throughout the day? I did this with I have an employee that worked for me and she was the hygiene scheduler. And she never had time to do reactivation calls. And so I said, okay, let's keep track of your day and let's see where you're spending your day because it seems like you should have time to do reactivation calls and you never have time to do them. So she filled this sheet out and after a couple of days we went through the sheet together and what we realized is we had 3 hygienists at the time. She was taking 15 minutes per patient checking them in and out. So that's like 45 minutes of just checking patients in and out for the 3 hygienists when you add up the time she was spending on it. And so I started observing then, okay, well, what's taking her so long when she's checking patients in and out? And she was the kind of person who was, oh, I hope your appointment was good. How are your grandkids doing? Oh, let me see pictures of them. When are you going to Italy again? Oh my gosh, let me tell you about my. And I asked her, why is she spending so much time chit-chatting with patients? And her answer to me was customer service. I want to give good customer service. Now, I'm a fan of customer service. I teach that, but we don't have 15 minutes for every patient to talk about their grandkids and look at their fishing trips and right? Because she had to have time to do these other things. And so by setting down with her and saying, okay, we need to give you time to do these other things. You need to get faster at checking patients out so that you have time to do these other things. Because if we're not aware of where we're spending time, and then we're not comparing to where we should be spending our time, we don't have the gap of where we need to get rid of the things that don't matter to do the things that do matter. Okay. The next thing then is to take every task and put it into one of these 4 categories. Everything we do fits into one of these 4 categories. It's either high importance or low importance, high urgency or low urgency. So things that are high importance and high urgency are critical activities. I tend to think in a dental office, critical activities are things that have to do with the patient production today. They're having to do with today's schedule. They're having to do with right here and right now. Those are high urgency and high importance. Now, if we go over to high importance, low urgency, these are the important goals. So we need things like daily huddles, weekly meetings. We need to make sure that we're calling on insurance claims. We need to make sure we're entering checks. Like these are all important things that we do, but they're important but not urgent. However, if we don't do them, if we skip, not do the important goals, don't have the team meetings, don't call on AR claim or checks or claims, right? What happens? Those things become critical activities. So the important goals are things that we need to make sure in our positions that we're allotting time to do, because when we don't do them, they become urgent and then it becomes a critical activity. So many offices spend all day long putting fires out. We're putting fires out all the time. That's because we aren't handling the important goals. Therefore, everything's becoming critical. And then when everything's critical, everybody's running around trying to put fires out. So the important goals are important for a reason. Then we've got high urgency, low importance. So things that are high urgency, low importance are interruptions, like the Invisalign rep coming in wanting to talk to the doctor or the hygienist right now, the sales rep wanting to see the doctor, the specialist who wants to meet with the doctor. Like these are all interruptions. They're urgent to the person who wants to see the doctor, but they're not important to us. And then lastly are low urgency, low importance, and that's distractions. And there's a lot of those in the dental office. Hey, do you have a minute? Did you hear? Can I tell you something? Let me ask you a question that has nothing to do with you. Want to gossip? All of those are distractions. So when you're looking at your day or you're working with one of your team members, we want to look at where you're spending your time, where should you be spending your time, and then of the things you're doing, where do they fall on this grid? Ultimately, the most important thing, especially for the front office team members, are butts in the chair, right? So if it's not butts in the chair, then is it something necessarily that you should be doing or need to be doing? If not, we need to learn how to automate, delegate, or eliminate. Okay. So if you have things on your list, if you're the dentist and you're doing more than you clinically should be doing with it, you're like as a dentist, like if your assistant could be doing some things that you're doing, we need to figure out how to automate, delegate, or eliminate, right? If you're an office manager and you're doing everything on your list and you don't have to be, it's not the office manager job. We need to learn how to automate, delegate, or eliminate. I'll give you an example of this. In the mastermind yesterday with our office managers, I was talking with them and 2 of them are doing 2 to 3 hours a day posting claims, because the dentist wants to make sure it gets done right. So they're having the office manager do it. The office manager's job is not to post claims. The office manager's job is to make sure that the claims are posted correctly. But they're, in my mind, wasting 2 or 3 hours a day doing something somebody else can be doing, whether it's delegating it to somebody on the team, outsourcing it to somebody else, or using an AI tool that can help you. Somebody else should be doing the actual posting so the office manager can be the office manager. That's the role that they're hired for. So let's jump into this. Let's go into automate. 80%, something like 80% of our software we're not even using, just in general in most softwares. So when you look at things like your practice management software or any other software that you have in your practice, we need to be better about leaning into our technology. We are so far behind in the dental industry. In fact, tomorrow at Yankee, I'm doing a whole thing on change management, and I'm going to talk about how we went from floppy disks, paper books, and dark rooms for x-rays to AI is knocking on our door right now. And we are like the only industry left that still uses fax machines. Like we need to catch up. We need to get ahead. Technology is coming ever faster than ever. So we, as a team or as a person, when you look at self-management, it's a matter of getting the results we need. How can we become more efficient? How can I use my software or the technologies that I have available to me to help me do my job better? There are thousands of companies in our industry who that's what they do all day long is they find ways to make our jobs easier, our lives easier. But we have to lean into this technology. The other thing to realize too is this isn't just for us. This is for our patients. Our patients are expecting now that they can make an appointment over the weekend, that they can pay a bill online, that they can schedule their appointment or ask a question. So technology is definitely something that if we could get better at it, you would definitely get more time back. Now, there's a thing called a time multiplier. A time multiplier is the time you spend now. If you spend the time now, it's going to give you twice as much time in the future. So leaning into our softwares and spending time now learning, embracing, using more of our software, though it takes time now to learn it, though it takes time now to slow down and figure out, what it does is it gives us twice as much time in the future. So look at your softwares and things like your phone systems, your digital x-rays, your CAD CAM, your patient communication software, your supply ordering. There's so many amazing companies out there now that can help you do all of these things so you're not wasting so much time doing it the old school way. So look at your softwares and see where you can automate that. So I recommend that, maybe not now, because of course I'm still talking, but pause at some point or after this is done, just sit down for a couple of minutes and think of some things that you can automate. Now, you may not automate it tomorrow. It might be on a wish list, but there are definitely some things that are happening in your role or in your office that don't need to be happening manually, and make that list to start to put a plan out there to get it automated. All right, the next one is delegate. So there's a lot of things we can automate. Just kind of throwing this out there for you. I mean, AI as an example, we've got phone answering services now. There's Hello Annie. We've got insurance insurance verification calls you can do. Stratus has an AI agent that calls and does all of our insurance calls for us. You can automate your notes. Mango has a note thing in their VoIP system that automates our notes automatically. You can ask in Dental Intel and go in and ask questions about what's going on in your practice, and it gives you information back real time of what's going on in your practice. You can automate your supply ordering with Patterson and Shine and scan the QR, scan the codes with the gun and order the supplies. You can order repair on your equipment with Uptime Health and put it in a software, and Uptime Health will send it out to Uptime Services and have a repair tech come to your office without having to make 4 phone calls. Like there's so many things that you can automate. If you can't think of things that can be automated, reach out to me. I'll help you. All right, next is delegate. So all the things I just mentioned that you can automate, some of the things or a lot of the things still need to be done by a human. AI is not here to replace humans. AI is here to help us replace the tasks or automate the tasks, have the tasks be done for us. But there are still things that only humans can do. So the biggest reason that we don't delegate is because it takes time to train somebody. And many times we're so busy, we don't have time to train. An example of this is when I'm sitting at the front desk and things are going and the phones are ringing and patients are canceling and my dental assistants are in the back and they come up front and say, "Hey, can I help with anything?" If I haven't trained them yet or cross-trained them, it's a great offer and I really appreciate it, but it's going to take me longer to train you to do it than me to do it myself. So therefore, we never delegate. So start a game plan on your list of things. Here are the things we can automate. Here's the things I can delegate. Maybe you're not going to delegate it tomorrow, but start to make a game plan of who and how can I delegate some of these tasks to other people. Now, if you're like many people in dental offices, we tend to be perfectionists, which means I am the best at whatever I do, right? So Office managers, you may feel you're the best at handling accounts or AR or schedule, right? Well, if you're always the best at doing it and nobody else can do it as good as you, and you're not going to delegate, guess what? You're always going to be doing it. Dentist, you may feel that you are the best at making the temporaries or taking the impression or whatever the thing is. But legally, in your state, if your dental assistant can be doing it, you need to train the dental assistant to do it because you should only be doing what you legally should only can be doing as a dentist. Will they be as good as you? Maybe not. Will they be almost as good of you or as good as you or good enough? Absolutely. And if they're not, maybe they are in the wrong position or in the wrong team. Okay. Because we really need to learn how to let other people do some of the things because we're doing it all and then we complain that we don't have any time. Part of the other reason that we don't delegate is a lot of the stuff we don't delegate isn't around the hard skills, the hands-on skills. It's around the soft skills. We don't have our team trained or we've never leaned into training them on how to handle the upset patients, how to talk to patients about their balance, how to explain treatment plans to patients. If we could lean in and teach our team better the soft skills, then they can handle more with us and delegate more for the patients. So that is something that before Front Office Rocks, it was very hard to teach it. That's what I do at Front Office Rocks. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours on not just how to do your job, but also how to do the soft skills, the customer service, the greeting a patient, handling an upset patient, getting a patient to pay, getting a patient to schedule the next appointment. We've got to teach our team members these skills because if you haven't taught them, you cannot assume that somebody else has. So here's just some of the soft skills that we should be focusing on and working with our team on: customer service, presenting treatment plans, hygiene and perio discussions, getting our patients to pay, handling scared patients, handling objections. These are all of the areas where, as the team, if we can help our team members get better at doing these things, we're going to be able to delegate more to other people on our team. So in your list of things, when you get done and you say, okay, here's what I can automate, what are the things that you could delegate? Doesn't mean you're ready to delegate them today, but in the perfect world, with the right training, with the right assistance, with the right help, these are things somebody else can do. And again, make it sort of like a vision board. Maybe it's not going to happen today, but each week, each month, you're starting to get more and more things off of your plate by doing this. All right, next is understanding interruptions and delegations, because the issue is we need to eliminate our interruptions and distractions. We, as a dental office, tend to do everything verbally. Everything. Everyone's running around. Everyone's asking questions. We're stopping people in the middle between patients. We're running up and down the operatories. We're, hey, do you have a second? And the problem is we build this culture of urgency, critical, like everything's got to be handled now all the time. No, it doesn't. But we just haven't taught our team and ourselves how to eliminate it, how to get rid of the things that we shouldn't be doing, because we could say it all day long. Again, I'm speaking on this tomorrow at Yankee, change management. I bet there's a lot of things that you have talked to your team about that you're going to do. We're going to do these things, and then they never happen. Because people tend to believe more with what you do than what you say. And so we tend to tell our team members, listen, on Tuesdays, like this office manager I was talking about, for example, every day of the week, I'm going to have 2 hours where I'm working on things. Don't interrupt me. Cool. Then the next day, someone says, do you have a second? And she says, yes. She just taught them what I said isn't actually what I meant because I just let you interrupt me. So we have to teach our team members by example, lead by example. That's a good leadership trait, right? And then we have to teach them that not all the time do they have to come to you or certain people. Not all the time do we have to handle it right now. Not all the time do we need to handle issues. Develop better ways to communicate in the practice amongst each other so everything isn't always urgent and everything always isn't critical. Part of that is starting to train our team members to think like owners. We tend to build this culture where our team members bring us problems. And I know there's a lot of dentists and office managers. I mean, I'm on the East Coast now. It's 8:30 at night. You're on this webinar. And sometimes I bet you feel like all I get is trouble on my desk. They bring me sticky notes, they bring me all the problems, and then they go home at 5 o'clock or 5:30, and I'm left for an hour or two just dealing with the problems. What I want to do is I want to build a team that thinks like owners and comes with solutions. So I want to encourage solutions. So what I suggest is have your team members, if they bring you an issue, I don't like the word problem because problems are negative. We have issues all day long in a dental office. That's life. When you bring me an issue, don't just bring me the issue, but bring me 3 solutions to the issue. The reason I want that is I want the employee to come to me with the issue, but before they bring it, I want them to have thought through what are 3 solutions to solve this problem. The reason is, first of all, they're less likely to just dump stuff on my desk and run. I don't need all the issues. I just need you to tell me what's going on and then options that I can select from. When they can bring you 3 issues, it's easier for you because you could say, I like suggestion number 2. You should do that. Also, now you can see how they think, how they problem solve, what their thought process is. And maybe you don't agree with one of the 3, any of the 3 issues or solutions, but you can then explain to them why you don't like these 3 and that your suggestion to solve the problem is number 4, which is now training them how to solve that problem in the future. So again, these things that I'm talking about are time multipliers. I'm going to spend a few minutes now explaining to this employee why option 1, 2, and 3 are not a great fit, but option 4 is a better fit because next time that issue comes up, that employee is now going to understand why or how to solve that issue. All right, so now we've dealt with the technology, we've dealt with delegating, we've dealt with the other people. Now we got to look at ourselves. Time to look in the mirror. So procrastination is a killer. They're on the things of things, this, you can tell it's been a long day traveling. The circle of things that we have to do, there's probably some things on that list that you don't love doing. That's why we don't get to them because we procrastinate what we don't love. So as for self-management, the next thing is of the things that are left on your list that only you can be doing in your role, if it's something that you're going to procrastinate on, schedule it. Just like we talked about last week with block scheduling in the schedule. Things that are hard to find in the calendar, schedule it. If you don't like doing certain things or they're very important activities or critical activities, block it in your schedule because there's a higher chance it's going to happen. And then preferably do it in the morning or at some point of the day or the week that you know you're going to have the lowest number of distractions. So for example, don't think you're going to get quiet time Monday morning in your office because we know walking in on Monday, that's when all the patients cancel and the schedule falls apart and all the things, right? You have a higher chance of having some quiet time on, say, Tuesday afternoon. So schedule appropriately so you have the highest chance of getting the time. And then if there's things that are on your list that you've gone through and you're like, but Laura, there's this thing, this is the thing that's left. And I say, well, why do we do this? If your answer is, I don't know, we've always done it this way. Or if I come to your team and I say, why are you doing X, Y, Z? And they go, I don't know, we've always just done it this way, then it's time to second guess that because there are a lot of things that we still just do because we've always done it that way, but that doesn't make sense for us to do it that way any longer. So if you can't answer why, answer the question, why do we do this, to something that you do, it is time to look at it and say, should we still be doing this? Is this even something that's important or matters anymore? Is there a better way to do it? Is there something else we should be doing? Okay. So what else on the list could you eliminate? What are some things that you have in front of you on that list where you're like, we just don't need to be doing it like this anymore, or we just don't need to be doing it anymore? And some of it is the all verbal communication, everything has to be handled right now in the practice. Maybe you can design a better system that there's a mailbox where they can put notes in, or you can use a Slack or a software that you guys can all communicate in so that everything doesn't need to be handled right now all the time. All right. Lastly is stress management and strategy. So, as a person, you're going to show up to be the best version of you when you have your life under control. I'm not specifically talking to dentists in this part of this presentation, but I kind of am, doctors. I've seen your desks. Sometimes office managers, we're kind of guilty of this too. Insurance coordinators, we got our 6 piles and we know where all our piles are, and there's sticky notes for everything, and our desk is a mess. The issue with that is a messy desk leads towards a cluttered mind. The second thing is I can't delegate anything when only you know your own system. Like if you know it's on the third pile over halfway down on the stack with the yellow sticky note, that's great for you. But if I'm going to ask somebody else to do this task for you and there's no system to it, I can't delegate it to them. And then lastly, when you leave and your desk is a mess and you go home and you come back the next day, it's like you're bringing yesterday's problems to today. So get yourself organized. Have somebody in your life that's more organized than you come in, help you get your desk organized, get file systems, get stuff documented, get it online, get it in your Google Drive, get a project management software, whatever you need to do, but get organized, because when you leave at the end of the day, the goal is to leave today done. Go home, spend time with your family, reinvigorate yourself, regroup, and you come back the next day a new version of yourself. Okay. And then sometimes there's just in the middle of the day, we're all guilty of it. I mean, bad days, but that patient comes in, causes everybody stress, drama, whatever it is, attitudes, whatever. You're at that spot where you just can't get out of whatever it is going on inside you. The best thing you can do for yourself and anyone else is get up and go take a walk. Now, I'm not saying like in the middle of a root canal, doctors, but the next time you have a minute, at lunch break and between patients, get up, excuse yourself. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and go out and take a walk. Because so many times we get so stressed and so focused because we're like so laser focused on this problem. We're so in the trenches of these dark holes, right? That we forget about taking care of us. So go outside, take a walk, look around. That doesn't mean go outside with your cell phone and complain to all your friends on one of the Facebook groups about how bad your team is or your patients are. It means go outside and look at the trees, look at the clouds. Get space, because you're only going to be the best version of you when you take care of yourself first. Okay. Which leads to, when you do that as a leader, you can bring that to your team. Okay. Your culture can help you elevate and be the best version of you, or your culture can trump you or squash you. And when you look at your practice, is it a place that you're excited to go to in the morning? Is it a place that people fill you up, we look out for each other? Or is it a place where people are backstabbing and whispering, and you go home exhausted and burnt out? Really paying attention to the culture of the practice, and it can start with you by leading by example. It doesn't matter what your position in is, to help change the culture of your practice. Because see, the culture is the energy that we all live in. It's the energy our patients feel. And I love this because it reminds me of I just flew on Southwest today, and on Southwest, usually the flight attendants are funny. They make jokes, right? You enjoy your time on Southwest because their culture is set up that way. Now, is everyone who works for Southwest funny and great? No, but overall, they lift each other up to make sure that it's a great experience for their customers. On the other side, have you ever gone into the DMV to get your driver's license? Do you realize that those people were excited the first day they got a job there too? And then, they went in and I've got a new job. I'm going to help people get their driver's license picture. And the rest of the culture was like, no, 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 no. See, we don't smile here. We don't give good customer service here. We make patients wait, or people wait. So our culture, the environment we're in, the people closest to us, can either lift us up or they can squash us. So where are you personally in your team when it comes to culture? and really start working on that. Take responsibility for what you do. Bond, find ways for your team to bond. I don't have to be best friends with everyone, but I've got to respect and be able to work with everyone. I want to treat mistakes as learning experiences. I want to be vulnerable. I want to offer a place where our team can work together and not just about, who knows more, but who's willing to help us grow. And don't allow others to ruin your day. Don't allow patients to ruin your day. Doctors, you don't have to be the dentist for everyone. Some of your patients can go other places. Okay. And then just imagine if we were to train well from the very first day. Just imagine if we started everyone on the first day and we're like, here is how we operate. Here's what's important to us. We want hard workers. We want people to have fun. We have never really done that well in the dental office. Normally, we just kind of bring people in and throw them to the wolves. And so, my last thought of this 3 hours we've been spending together is really to bring home again that you can teach old dogs new tricks. You can teach your team to get better at their attitude, their time management, their skills, their self management, but you've got to train them. And I know doctors, I know there's a lot of doctors on this series. You're like, yeah, but if I would have spent an hour having my employee come to this tonight, what happens if they leave? What happens if they, well, I love this quote. There's nothing worse than having your employee train and having them leave than not training them and having them stay. I know that there's a lot of people on teams that really have not been trained, and dentists are afraid to invest in them for whatever reason. But I'm telling you, if they're good employees, investing in them is the best decision that you can make. And right now, our current training for when a new employee starts or any continual training is really just pretty much throwing them to the wolves. Here's the phones, here's the insurances we belong to, go. Right? Oh, don't do it that way, do it this way. Let me, oh, you're doing it wrong, move over, I'll do it. We are not really good at training in the dental office. We give them a manual and we're like, here you go, read it. Do you understand? Okay. And then you come to a seminar with me and you say, I don't understand why my employees aren't doing their job. It's because we've got to invest in our team members. We've got to train them. And video training is the key. Giving them a manual and saying, read this, here's the new SOP, here's the new job description, here's the new expectation is fine, but it's not hitting home and sinking in. Employees retain 95% of information through video versus only 10% with reading text. And 83% of employees prefer watching video over text, and 70% choose video-based learning over traditional written material. Hiring well, training them well, and then investing on a regular basis and continual training is how you're going to keep your employees, is how you're going to grow a practice that you love. It's how you're going to build a high performing team, but you've got to invest. The biggest overhead that you have, dentists, is your team, but they're also your biggest advocates when you actually invest in them. So, and then if you scan this QR code, you get the handout from tonight. So please feel free to do that. And please just know that time is the rarest commodity we have in the dental office. And the bad news is time flies, but the good news is that you're the pilot of it. And people often complain about the lack of time, but really it's the lack of direction. It's not about time management, it's about self-management. So I hope I've inspired you over the 3 sessions that we've been together to know that these are things that you can learn to do better, your team can learn to do better. We're here to help you at Front Office Rocks.